Happy Friday. How are you doing? This is your girl, Shan. Come on now. Let's get up. Let's be in a positive mood. Usually everyone is happy on a Friday. Let me get into today's topic on today. Your past is in your marriage and you can't change it. I would like to ask this question. If you're currently married, how many of you all, good morning, Brandy, how many of you all consistently argue about your past? Something that you can't change. If you've been married before, how much time did you devote in your marriage of arguing about you or his or both of you all's past? Okay, so this is what I was sitting up here thinking about. Good morning, Andre. This is what I was sitting up here thinking about. There are so many marriages that you devote so much unnecessary time to arguing about things in the past that you cannot change. Yes, some feel I can't change it. Let me go ahead and show you what it looked like and be really transparent, because I'm gonna bring some transparency today. But let me show you what it looked like when you feel like, good morning, Shanette, when you feel like you constantly arguing over and over and over, good morning, Angelia, about the same thing. Okay, now what that tells me, if I sat before couples, okay, and I'm gonna talk to my singles too, because y'all need some word to the wise, some advice. If I sat before couples and the biggest thing is they argue about the same thing over and over and over again, and it linked to the past, what that immediately tells me, whether it be in a counseling session, whatever the case may be, what it immediately tells me is there has not been healing from that which have hurt the individual in their past or that which have hurt the spouse. Now, I'm not one to tell people, oh, get over it or whatever the case may be. No, because people do not realize how severe it hurt the person. But this is what I need us to do as husbands and wives. If something that your spouse do hurt you in your past, y'all went through that, you dealt with it, you still feel some kind of way about it, you feel like you can't let it go, I need you to be honest with your spouse and say, okay, baby, look, this thing right here really hurt me. It's going to take me some time to get over this. Okay. What I don't need you to do is this, because the one thing that a person wants, especially in marriage, is their spouse's forgiveness. Just like a child, if they do something that their parent don't want them to do or whatever, they want their parents' forgiveness. When somebody say, baby, I forgive you. Good morning, Miss Delia. When somebody say, baby, I forgive you or whatever, then you feel like, boom, it's done with, it's over with, or whatever the case may be. And yes, I'm going to bring a whole bunch of different examples on this morning. Good morning, Simone. You feel like it's done with. I don't have to deal with it no more, whatever. But baby, let you get to arguing with your spouse, and especially when you start exchanging those words, which we shouldn't be doing, which hit below the belt, the good old dirty dozens in our marriage, then it comes back up and it presents itself again, and then it reopens that wound for both individuals, because I thought that you've forgiven me. Okay, let me look at this at another angle, all right? And like I said, I'll be really transparent. Let me talk to my singles. If you are with someone and they have current issue with their past that they have not got over with, I encourage you highly, do not marry them until they have worked on their issue, or at least start working on it. Okay? There are some things from our past that can destroy our marriage and not allow for us to move forward. That's why me and my husband have shared several times, a conversation needs to be had, a true conversation. When you are in the engagement process, you need to get to really know each other. That means this thing is really getting serious and it's about to go somewhere. Okay. When you are engaged, don't let it be all cute. No, no, because it's going to show itself in your marriage in the future. So I highly encourage you, if you are dating somebody and they have issue, in their past, yes, be there for them, be their support system, but you don't understand, like I say several times, that in which you are not willing to address, good morning, Jackie, that in which you're not willing to address before you say I do will show itself 10 times, almost 10 times worse in your marriage. Now, I know for myself, it's a lot of things that I tried to deal with, you know what I'm saying? Because this was my thought process, even as a 20-year-old when I married my husband. It's unfair for me to punish my husband. How many of y'all doing this out here now? It's unfair for me to punish my husband for what somebody else did in the past. And I'm going to be honest, husbands, this is where I've seen it in you. Women, we generally, if somebody hurt us in the past, oh, baby, we got that good old wall up. And like I said, in the counseling field, it's called stonewalling. You got your wall of protection up because you're not going to let the person in whom you're with hurt you. But guess what? When you, husband, what I've seen is you might say that you don't hurt your wife for what somebody else has done in your past, ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, or whatever. But this is how it shows and plays out in your marriage. Insecurity and trust issues. Now, you know, someone might say, Shan, what do you do? Especially, and I'm so excited that on our radio show, we're going to be talking about family and we're dedicating it to the month of the family. But someone may say, Shan, what do you do if the past is present? If it's present in your now? Prime example, me and my husband. Like I said, everybody know, you know, for the most part that's been listening to me for a while, me and my husband, that I am his second wife. So what do you do for the sake of the children? You know what I'm saying? When the past is present, when you have an ex-spouse that jumps into the situation, or you have I hate to use this term, but a baby mom or a baby father, the father or the mother of your children that are currently present and they're acting ignorant. What do you do when it's there? Let me tell you what you do. The husband and the wife, I hate to say it like this, but this is how it's going to have to be. It's Keep It Real Friday. The husband and the wife need to join forces together against the problem. You need to have a united front against the problem. Wives, I need you, because you know, equal opportunity. I need you to join with your husband when it comes to the father of your child. You have to be on one accord. That is how the enemy destroys marriages, okay? Because you have the husband and the wife that's not on one accord. Instead of the husband and wife looking at each other like the problem, the husband and the wife should join together and have a united front against the problem, okay? And so same thing with you. Husbands, you can't sit up here and you being passive with your wife and you being passive with your mother of your child. No, there needs to be a united front to say, hey, we are joined together. So we can all have a conversation in reference to this child as three mature adults. But what you're not going to do, which is what most, there you go, Simone, which is what most, people do, if I can keep it real, what you're not going to do is destroy our marriage. But see, because men are fixers, which is nothing wrong with that, and that's how God created and designed for you to be, you cannot be trying to be between both and then tell me, oh, baby, well, you got to understand, especially for them petty women to do this, where you use your child to try to break up your ex and their wife. You try to use the child and that manipulative spirit that you are interjecting into the child. And then you sit up in her and wonder at why the child is playing the mama against the daddy, because one of y'all taught them how to be a master manipulator. Okay. And then it backfired on your tail. That's what happened. So I encourage you, when it comes to the past, baby, guess what? You can't go back and change the past. You cannot do that. So why ruminate on it? Why allow your past to destroy your marriage? You know, what I encourage people to do is go get help. Put your pride aside. You talking to your mama about your situation and you know your mama can't stand your wife, baby, that ain't getting help, okay? Ladies, you talking to your best girlfriend about it and you know your best girlfriend can't stand your husband, that's not getting help. When I say go get help, I'm talking about get some professional help, okay? If you set up here, and I'm going to say this, and somebody going to get mad about 4 or 5 people going to click off, but you'll be all right. Praise Jesus, okay? Praise the name of the Lord. If you set up here and you say out of your mouth, baby, I forgive you. Okay, we can get past this, but every time y'all argue, you bring in the situation up, you dead wrong. You are dead wrong. And I think about God. God does not nail us to our past, okay? I think about our family members, and I'm going to keep it real. This is a good example. When you go home, and you know when you first bring your boo home, you know, to meet your family or whatever, whether you be engaged, dating, or you married, and you first go home, and what do some of your messy family members want to do? Do you remember? Yeah, Shan. You remember that time when you did this and this and this? And your flesh want to be petty. Your flesh want to say, well, Auntie, do you remember that time when you said Uncle Joe was my uncle, but even though you married to Uncle Reginald and Uncle Joe wasn't really my uncle, you was actually messing with him? See, you want to go petty, but you don't do that. So this is the same type of situation in your marriage. Don't go petty, because we have to understand, when we allow the enemy to continue to throw up our past, and we continue to rip that scab off that's healing that wound, we will never progress forward in our marriage. We will never have that fullness of what God desires for us to have in our marriage. Baby, you cannot go back and erase your past about anything that you've done. And sometimes what it is our past, we haven't forgiven ourselves for the things that we have done in our past. Since we haven't forgiven ourselves, we punish our spouse for that. If we can be real, we punish our spouse for not having a father in the household. We punish our spouse for the trifling things. Come on, Miss Delia now. We punish our spouse for the trifling things that our ex did to us. And I don't trust you. Where you going? Who you going with? What time you gonna be back? And you sit up here looking like, okay, you weren't doing all this while we was dating. Where did all this come from? And I know I have to be honest, like say for instance, and I'm not trying to act like I'm no angel, because it was some things, I put it to you like this. When it came to my ex, baby, what you wasn't going to do was disrespect my husband, honey. That's what you was not going to do. And so it is, let me say this last point before I get ready to go. I believe in my heart that if it's something from my past, it is my responsibility to shut that down. You hear me? If it's something from my husband's past, it is his responsibility to shut that down. Okay? You put up the wall of defense. You do not allow those things to come in. But what you do not do is sit up here and say, oh, well, baby, it'll be okay. Well, baby, no, because, baby, y'all going to be sitting up here. Good morning, Jonathan. Y'all going to be fighting over that thing. Quit arguing about the past. That's all I'm saying. Quit giving your effort, your energy, and all that to arguing about your past. If you are a person where you setting up and you telling your honey, look, baby, I got some things that I got to deal with. I'm going to need us wives, us women, us single women, quit pressuring these men if they setting up here and they being man enough and mature enough to tell you there's some things of my past that I got to deal with, that I got to work on. Quit trying to pressure them into marrying you. Okay? Because you about to inherit a whole bunch of problems. And let me show you how that plays out and that manifests. You're pressuring them into marrying you. You having it in your mind that you can change them, and you cannot. Let me go ahead and tell you with 20 years of experience, you cannot change them. And then you sitting up here complaining to your girlfriends and everybody who will listen about how this joker won't change this, that, and other, when he was honest and mature enough to tell you he had issues. But you putting that pressure on him, trying to make him say, I do. Okay? Let a man work out his issues. Now, I encourage you, men, don't just be saying that, using it as an excuse, though. On the flip side, if you're going to work on it, be mature enough to work on it. Go get you some help and work through it. Especially in, and I will say this, and I'm keep it real Friday, in the how can I say it? Because I hate to be like politically correct. I don't like that kind of stuff. But especially in ethnicities that are of color. Okay. I had this conversation because I'm like, why don't people just go get help? We don't go get help because going to get help is new for us. It is ingrained in us for us to be strong. It is ingrained in us not to show any weakness and things like that. So that's what we have been taught. We have been taught that if there is an issue with something, especially by our ancestors, we have been taught to act like it doesn't even exist, even though it is destroying us and stopping us from being the best person that we can be on the inside. And so I was talking to a psychologist about that, and why don't people just go get help when they need to go get help? And she said, you got to think about it. And she's a woman of color, awesome, amazing woman, very intelligent. And she said, Shan, because it's new to us. It's new to this thing about us going to get help. We just not been doing it, where you have other ethnicities. They don't see no problem with it because they've been doing it for years. So I encourage you, if you want a successful marriage, if you want a successful, sometimes you have to tell your spouse, and I commend people that come before me and they say this. I realized I had to work on myself, because what I was doing was punishing the person in whom I love for my past, not really knowing it. And you can tear somebody down and you can destroy them when you punish them for your past. It is very unfair. You can't punish them for what mama did, what daddy did, for what your ex-wife did, your ex-husband did. It is very unfair. But I say this. If you have told them, you've hurt me and I forgive you, you need to throw. Now, I ain't gonna say don't learn from it now. But the word of God says, paraphrasing, that God throws our things that we've done, our past, in the sea of forgetfulness. You have to mature to the point to where you move forward. So can you in your marriage change the past not presenting itself in your marriage? You can, but you have to be mature enough to do it. A lot of people say, I feel hopeless. I'm tired of going through this thing over and over again. I'm tired of arguing with her about this. I'm tired of arguing with him. She says she forgave me. Do you know how many times I hear that with people that come before me, whether it be in the church, out of the church, in the counseling session, out of the counseling session, in the community altogether, or those who call me on the phone? Baby, get help for it. And if you're not willing to get help for it and change it, do not punish the person for it. Because when we don't get help for the things of our past that we have not dealt with, we're punishing ourselves. We're turning up ourselves. And this is what I'm talking about. Somebody got some daddy issues out there. Can I holler at you? Where daddy was not there. Daddy wasn't present. Daddy did no wrong. Somebody got some manipulating mama issues out there. Somebody got some, I was molested by somebody in my family issues. I was raped by somebody in my school. And you sitting up here wondering why it is that when you laying down with your spouse in the bed, you don't want your spouse to touch you. Baby, your spouse is not even aware that you were even sexually abused. Let me keep it real. I don't know why I'm going here, but I'm going to tell it. Your spouse is not aware. So you're punishing your spouse sexually, where your spouse is thinking that it's them that's not fulfilling you sexually, because you haven't even opened up to your spouse. You haven't even received help, or whatever the case may be. And you're making your spouse seem like they're not good enough. You're making your spouse seem like they're not good enough because you sitting up thinking on another note, you gonna leave me because of your trust issues and your insecurity. Everybody in your life left you. Everybody in your life abandoned you, from your childhood to every relationship that you had. They said that you wasn't good enough, but this stuff is presenting itself in your marriage. So if this is you, I encourage you to set up and think, okay? Think. What are some things that is presenting themselves in your marriage that is linked to your past, whether your spouse know or they don't know? And some may say, well, I've told my spouse, but baby, have you worked on it? We have to work on ourselves as individuals to be a better us. We have to get out of the mindset, especially as people of color, of saying that I don't need help. I don't have issues. Everything will be okay. Well, if everything's okay, baby, you wouldn't be turning to that Xanax. You wouldn't be popping that. You wouldn't be turning to that bottle. You wouldn't be cussing out everybody and being mean to everybody. Baby, it shows itself externally. Okay, now let me get off my little soapbox. But if you have not dealt with your past and you're punishing your spouse, or you're burying it in drinking alcohol, or you're burying it in this K2, this synthetic marijuana, whatever you're doing, I encourage you to go get help. And so for those of you who are out there, if you know of any resources in your area, because a lot of people think, I can't go get help because I can't afford it. There are people out there that are offering free resources for it. So I highly encourage you, go get help. Don't punish your spouse. Effective communication, like my sister just said, that is so true. You have to start to peel back the onion layers and say, baby, I need to share my heart with you. Okay, this is some of the things that I've been dealing with for the past 10 years. This is some of the things I've been dealing with through our whole marriage. And I've been very unfair, and I've been subjecting it to you. Okay, and I apologize for that. But you start peeling back the onion layers. It's sad when your spouse can recognize things in you that you're not even willing to recognize because you don't want to deal with it. So that's how the past presents itself in your marriage. And both of you can work together as a team, as husbands and wives, to change it. Okay, what you don't want to do is not deal with it and it get passed down generation to generation to generation, especially in our men. And that's where that pride come in, because I don't want to deal with it. I'm good. Everything is okay. But you using alternative methods to cope with it. Okay. Women, you're using alternative methods to cope with it. All right. So y'all have a blessed weekend. Don't let anybody steal your joy. Share this because it's free. Be a blessing and not a curse. Okay. On today, have that conversation with your spouse. Pray about it before and let the past come forward. Lay it on the table. Let them support you to deal with it. Or otherwise you won't see 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and 50 years and 70 years of marriage because you're not willing to deal with your past and how it's presenting itself. Ask your spouse, baby, what are some things that you see? And don't be defensive when they respond. What are some things that you honestly see that presents itself in our marriage that I do? And then when they respond, you link it to your past. Okay. So y'all have a blessed day. Like I said, share this because it's free, because somebody needed. Thank you for everybody who have shared. And thank you for your support of Marriage Mondays with the Kings and Marriage Mornings with the Queen. Have a blessed